Hello everyone and welcome to the part 2 of my Q&A. So in this video I'm going to answer your questions, and I got a couple of questions here actually. So I'm sitting here at my computer with the questions in front of me, and I'll probably put the questions on the screen as well. So let's start with the first question here. How did you go from learning programming, making Java games, to like really getting into programming? This question was asked by .maverick. So I think I've told you this before, but I started getting into programming. I think I was like 12 or 13 or something. I got a computer in my bedroom when I lived at my parents' house. And I played a lot of games, and then just one day I got interested in how I asked myself, like, how do I make my own game? So I did some research. I got some books from people, some programming books, and I started making games using Eclipse and Java. And I remember burning the games to like CD-ROMs and giving them to people in school. So people in school were playing my games. And then I started school, like in Sweden it's called gymnasiet. I think that's probably like college. No, I don't know. Anyway, I went to school, and where we had some programming classes. Now, this is not like a university level school. This is like the school you go to after high school in Sweden, basically. And they had some programming classes, and my programming teacher told me that, hey, I don't think you need to go to my classes because you are fulfilling all of the requirements for my classes. So he went out and looked for a job, and he found this job for me, where actually .maverick is working right now. So well, that's where I actually got into like web development and things like that at that job. Now, and then I moved to Gothenburg, and I guess that's when I got interested into like C programming and more hardware stuff. So that's when I went a little bit more hardcore, I guess. Okay, next question. I'm not going to pronounce your name because I don't know how to pronounce it. Sujit. You are so talented and innovative. How soon are you planning to start your own consulting firm or contribute to an open source project? I became your big fan and always wish a great success for you. Thank you, Sujit. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I'm glad that you're my fan. That's feels kind of strange to hear that I have a fan, but thank you. And thank you for your compliments. Well, I was thinking about starting my own consultancy firm a while ago, and I just came to the conclusion that I don't think a consultancy firm is my kind of thing. To me, a consultancy firm is a place where the consultants are the products. And I want to work at a place where the actual thing we're making is the product. I don't like when a person is a product, if you know what I mean. Contribute to open source projects. So I know I have contributed to some open source projects on GitHub. I can't remember them now, but it's certainly something that I have done. It doesn't happen very often though. But yeah, I'm usually just working on my own projects, I guess. So next question, Samuel B. How you learn programming? Yeah, I think I mentioned this before. I learned it from just making games at first and reading Java books, basically. That's how I got into programming. And it was like really simple things. I made like maze games and things like that. So yeah, that's how I got into programming, I guess. Samuel, another question from Samuel B. Why you have not Discord for your community? So that's a good question. I actually sort of never use Discord. I know I have an account on Discord, but I'm like never logged in there. So, but maybe it's something that I should have a look at. Maybe I'll set up a Discord channel. Who knows? Could be fun, maybe. But as I said, I have no experience with Discord whatsoever. I barely know what it is. I think it's like a chat application or something. So, next question. From Bitman Kujunsik. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. How do you do debugging in Vim? So, the short answer to that is that I don't. I usually debug in my terminal. So I usually use an external application for that. So I thought I'd show you an example how I do debugging, not in Vim, but outside Vim. So I'm just going to show you Python, for example. So let's write a simple Python program here. So let's do def get some data. And maybe we have x is equal to 5, y is equal to 3. Data is equal to a dictionary, data A is equal to X, data B is equal to Y, and then we can call get some data. Let's return the data as well. So if I run this now, nothing's gonna happen. Now, if I want to debug this, I would simply do import pdb.set trace. And I would run the code here in my terminal. And now we've got a debugger, so I can see print x to see, oh, sorry, we need to do next to go to the next, to step to the next line in the code, next, and I can do print x, because now x has been defined. Can do next to go to the next value. Here we see that data is about to be defined. Next, so now if I print data, data is just empty for now. If we go to next and we print data, data has a value of a. Next, print data. So yeah, the point is that I'm usually using my terminal to debug things. For example, when I debug things, when I make C programs, I use Valgrind or GDB. So GDB is a debugger where you can step through your code and set breakpoints and things. And if I use Python, I use the PDB tool, and then I debug in my terminal. So that's how I do that. So the short answer is that I don't debug in Vim. Well, I have some sort of debug tools in Vim, I guess. I have plugins that tells me if I've made a mistake in the code, so if I get syntax errors and things like that, you know, but like real debugging, I usually do that in my terminal. Okay, next question is from Mons. Do you like Gothenburg, planning to move, since you can work from home now? 60 to 80k Swedish kroners is the limit in salary if we talk about backend and similar in Sweden. How you feel about it? Any tips? From your experience, how hard is it to find a decent job with your level of experience? Can you describe the requirements to get a junior, mid, senior position in front and backend? Maybe in any words about the process of working in a Swedish IT company? Thanks. So, I think we had multiple questions in one here. 60 to 80k SEK is the limit in salary if we talk about backend and similar in Sweden. How do you feel about it? Any tips? So my experience with salary is that a lot of companies actually give you a very low offer to begin with, and then you sort of have to negotiate to get a higher offer. So, and my experience is that there is usually a lot of room for negotiation. at first the companies might say that no, we can't give you a better salary than this, but to my experience they are sort of lying usually. I don't know. You should, my tips there is to actually get ready for negotiation, I guess. From your experience, how hard is it to find a distant job with your level of XP? Well, the remote job I found now, I just got lucky, I guess. A friend was already in the project and then he invited me into it. Usually I don't get a lot of remote job offers. I guess I sort of have to look for them myself. And I really, to be honest, I haven't been looking for them. But yeah, so this is like the only remote job I've had, I think. Like before I quit my job, I did do a lot of remote job working because of the Corona stuff. But this is this is the only job I've had where it actually says in my contract that it's to be remote. Can you describe the requirements to get a junior, mid, senior position in front and back, and maybe any words about the process of working in a Swedish IT company? So my experience in working with a lot of Swedish IT companies is that they usually hire a lot of people that just came out from school. So I don't think the requirements are very high there, actually, to be honest. Now, once you get into other areas of programming, such as hardware and things like that, then the requirements are usually higher. But if you're just making web applications, I find it very common to be working with people that just came out from school. So that's my experience there. And some other experience I have working with Swedish IT companies is that they are usually very, at least if it's a small company, it's sort of, a lot of companies has this sort of, they sort of market themselves as being, where it always sort of feels like you're a family when you start working at these small companies. It's usually a very relaxed environment, but once you get into bigger companies, it's more of a more corporate environment, you know, where you have a lot of meetings, too many meetings. So my experience is there is that I prefer to work with smaller companies. Okay, next question is from TicTac21, and there's 4 questions here. How did you get your first job? Okay, so I mentioned this before. I got my first job through a teacher at my school who didn't think I needed to go to his classes. So he took me to a company and I did some programming tests and I succeeded the tests and I got hired, basically. Question number 2, do you read books? If so, what non-technical books do you read? Unfortunately, I don't read a lot of books. The only reading I do, I guess, is articles on the internet. So I browse Hacker News a lot and read articles from there. And I'm the kind of guy who reads about things when I get interested in them. For example, I had a period in my life where I was really into web scraping, so I read a lot about that. And then I got into like making neural networks. So I started reading about that. And everything I read was basically from the internet. And then I got into writing my own programming languages. So I started to read about that, also from the internet. So all from the internet. Question number 3 here from TicTac21. It's a personal question. Does your work affect your personal life? How do you deal with it? It affects my life in a way that it steals my time a bit, I guess. I don't have as much time to work with my own projects. And I don't have a lot of time to meet my family who lives like a couple hours from me. So it takes some time to travel to them. But that's just, that situation exists because I chose to live this far away from them. But If I would have lived nearer them, there wouldn't be a lot of jobs for me, because they live in a very small village. How do I deal with that? Well, I don't really have an answer to how I deal with that, but you know. Question number 4 here. Do you have a gist or repository with your configs for Vim terminal etc? I'd like to see. Yes, I do have a repository for all my dot files with Vim configs and stuff like that. I can put it in the description of this video. So we have another question here from Samuel B. Your own programming language, is it open source? Yes, it's open source. I can put it in the description here as well. Another question from Sean Alberto. Which programming field do you like better? How do you see yourself in the future of 3 years? What is your favorite video game? Do you prefer Django or Flask? Why? Okay, so there were multiple questions here. Which programming field do you like better? I can say that I usually prefer back-end stuff better and also hardware stuff better, because I think the front-end world is a big jungle of libraries, and it's hard to follow along with all the new technology going on there. How do you see yourself in the future in 3 years? I have a difficult time looking into the future like that. I don't really know. I just take every day as it is. But I guess I would like to live on my own business somehow. I guess that's a goal a lot of people have. What's your favorite video game? Good question. I don't play a lot of games, but I used to play a lot of Minecraft back in the days. And I think the first game I played was like Super Mario Bros, which was my favorite for a long time. And then I got into Counter-Strike 1.6, which I played for I don't know how many years. I played it a lot. But today I can't say that I have a favorite video game. I don't play a lot of games. I make games though. Do you prefer Django or Flask? Why? So I prefer Flask because there's less magic going on there. And usually I don't need all the features that Django provides. I don't know, I'm just more used to Flask, I guess. Another question from Luan Freitas. I don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry. Do you speak Portuguese? No, unfortunately I do not speak Portuguese. However, I think Portugal is a wonderful country, and if I would move to some other country one day, I think Portugal would be a country that I could move to or would like to move to. So that's all the questions. If I end up getting more questions after this video, I'll maybe make a part 3 of this Q&A. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.